Real quickly before we begin, I want to thank this video's sponsor, CarMarshal.com. CarMarshal.com can save you lots of money on buying used or new vehicles, cars, trucks, school buses. If you want to save money, I'll have a link in the description down below. I know I'm going to...
Of their home. It says Nibs retrieved. The family of a man killed by a Macon County Sheriff's deputy is disputing law enforcement claims about what happened. Sheriff Robert Holland says a deputy was responding to a call about a neighbor dispute on Pheasant Road late Sunday night. Holland says when the deputy arrived, he found Scott Nibs armed and confrontational. He says the deputy gave repeated commands for Nibs to drop the weapon and then shot him. Nibs died at the scene. Attorneys hired by the Nibs family have released a statement about the incident. It says that night Nibs heard a man's voice yelling from the front of their home. It says Nibs retrieved the shotgun he kept in the bedroom for self-defense and then walked towards the front door to see who was yelling at his family's front door. The statement says the deputy fired multiple shots from outside the Nibs house through a front window, striking Scott. It says Scott never had a chance to open the front door or speak to the officer. Sheriff Holland has asked the FBI to look into the shooting.
Watch, family of man killed by Macon County deputy disputes law enforcement claims. Macon County, NC. The family of a man killed by a Macon County Sheriff's deputy is disputing law enforcement claim about exactly what happened that night. In a press release Monday, Macon County Sheriff Robert Holland said a deputy was responding to a call about a neighbor dispute on Pheasant Road late Sunday night. Sheriff's office officials said the resident was armed and confrontational when the deputy arrived just before midnight. According to Sheriff Holland, the deputy was confronted by an armed suspect. The deputy gave repeated commands to drop the weapon. The suspect took aggressive action toward the deputy, prompting the deputy to discharge his weapon in self-defense, which struck and killed the suspect. Scott Nibs died at the scene. The deputy made several commands for him to put his weapon down. The individual made an aggressive action toward my officer, at which time, in a self-defense manner, discharged his firearm, striking the individual, Sheriff Robert Holland said. Attorneys hired by the Nibs family released the following statement on Tuesday. Mark R. Melrose and Adam R. Melrose of Melrose Law have been retained to represent the family of Scott Nibs, who was killed by a Macon County Sheriff's deputy. Scott was home with his wife, his 13-year-old son, his 22-year-old daughter, and his 5-month-old grandson in a home they purchased 5 years ago. Earlier that evening, Scott told a man who had pulled into the Nibs driveway looking for a house party next door to leave and not return. Around midnight, a man's voice was heard yelling from the front of their home. There was no patrol car parked outside the Nibs home, no blue lights, and no advance warning that a rookie police officer was approaching their home. Scott was concerned for the safety of his family. Scott retrieved the shotgun he kept in the bedroom for self-defense. Scott then walked towards the front door to see who was yelling at his family's front door. The man yelled demands from outside on the porch. Seconds later, the deputy fired multiple shots from outside the Nibs house, through a front window, striking Scott. Scott never had a chance to open the front door, or speak to the officer. Scott bled to death just a few steps away from the front door in his own dining room. The deputy did not administer first aid while he awaited backup from other officers and EMS. Scott worked in construction, and was married to his wife, Missy, for 25 years. He had no criminal record. He had nothing but respect for law enforcement. In fact, Scott had graduated from basic law enforcement training at Southwestern Community College in the 1990s. Scott and his family attended the Cuyahoga Assembly of God for the past 25 years. This was apparently a complaint made by the neighbors who were renting a house next door. There was a high volume of traffic going up to the neighbor's house at all hours. Contrary to initial reports of spiked boards in the roadway, the boards were actually speed bumps placed in the common roadway to slow visitors down as they passed the Nibs home due to the children who frequently played in the front yard. At this time, we are actively investigating the circumstances of Scott's death. We want to understand why an unverified middle-of-the-night complaint by a neighbor resulted in a rookie officer demanding entry into the Nibs home unannounced. We want to understand why the officer had his weapon out. We want to learn what urgency existed for a solo deputy to investigate a neighbor's complaint in the middle of the night. We want to learn why this happened when the deputy did not have a search warrant, arrest warrant, or probable cause to enter the home or arrest anyone within the home. We have promised the Nibs family to learn the truth of why Scott was killed in his own home from shots fired from outside his residence by a rookie officer.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County COPWATCH, and I just wanted you to know that I am using this stuff under fair use. And also remember to like and subscribe this channel. Also too, keep in mind I do not make any money on YouTube. This is 5 hours work a day, you know, fighting for freedom. And you can donate with PayPal and Patreon. I just want you to think about this. If everybody gives to PayPal and Patreon, Patreon is every month. Actually, PayPal you can do every month. I have 12,000 subscribers. If everybody gives, I can quit my regular job and go full-time investigations on Charlotte County and possibly even more and beyond. So just keep that in mind. If everybody helps out, I can go full-time doing this. Thanks.